The story of the Middle Ages is often told as a shadow. Dirty streets. No learning. People who thought the earth was flat.
But what if that story is wrong?
What if the real Middle Ages were more organized, more inventive, and more colorful than we imagine? Today we will test 7 famous myths. We will use common sense, historical records, and plain language. No mystery, no drama, just clarity. Let's begin.
The popular image is a city of filth. A place where no one washed for years.
Reality is more balanced. Cities ran public bathhouses. People met there to clean themselves, talk, and relax.
Homes kept jugs and basins for daily use. Washing hands and face before meals was common etiquette. Soap existed. It was simple. It was made from animal fat and ash. It was not fancy, but it worked. Archaeology shows water channels and storage cisterns in several medieval towns. They were basic systems. They were not like modern pipes. But they proved a concern for cleanliness. People also used rivers and lakes in warm months. Wealthy homes sometimes had small bathrooms with wooden tubs. So the truth is not zero hygiene. The truth is everyday efforts within the limits of the time. They did not have our technology. They did have habits, tools, and social spaces that aimed at being clean.
Myth number 2. Everyone believed the earth was flat.
This is a story repeated in films and children's books. It is simple. It is memorable.
But it is not accurate. Educated people in medieval Europe taught that the earth was a sphere.
They inherited this knowledge from the ancient world. They discussed eclipses.
They measured the height of stars. They used the way ships disappear below the horizon to explain curvature. Writers in the 19th century later retold the age as a battle between science and religion. Columbus was cast as a rebel against a flat earth church. It is a dramatic tale. It is not the lesson plan of a medieval classroom.
The real picture is calmer. A spherical earth was normal among scholars.
So the myth survives because it is fun to repeat, not because it reflects medieval education. Myth number 3. Everyone was illiterate. It is true that many peasants could not read or write. That is only part of the picture.
Medieval towns were centers of trade and craft. Merchants kept ledgers.
Clerks wrote contracts and letters. Guilds recorded rules and dues.
From the 12th and 13th centuries onward, universities grew quickly.
Students studied law, medicine, theology, astronomy, and more. Books were expensive, but people shared them. Group reading was common. One person read aloud, others listened. Knowledge still moved.
Women in noble families and in convents often learned to read and write.
They handled estates, wrote letters, and copied devotional texts. So literacy was uneven. It was higher in towns. It was practical. It was tied to real work and real life. The blanket claim that only monks could read is not supported by the daily paperwork that cities produced. Myth number 4. The Middle Ages were a time of constant hunger. Famines did happen. Crop failures and wars were real. But the idea of permanent starvation is an exaggeration. In normal years, diets were varied. Bread and porridge came from grains like wheat, rye, and oats. Beans and peas added protein. Gardens grew cabbage, onions, and garlic.
People raised pigs, chickens, and geese. Pork and poultry were common. Meat was smoked or salted to last through winter.
Inland rivers supplied fish. Coastal regions ate shellfish and sea fish.
Forests added berries and mushrooms when the season allowed.
This is not a picture of luxury. It is a picture of resourcefulness. It is a picture of planning, storage, and seasonal rhythm. The hard years were hard. The regular years were good enough to keep communities going. Myth number 5. Medieval clothing was dull and brown. Movies often show gray tunics and muddy cloaks. It makes the past look lifeless. Evidence from textiles and dyes says something different. People used bright plant dyes. Red from madder, blue from woad, yellow from weld, green from combinations of dyes. Elites wore silk, velvet, and brocade when they could. Common folk wore wool and linen.
But those fabrics were also dyed and sometimes embroidered.
Shoes could be decorated. Belts and buckles showed status. Fashion changed over the centuries. The cut of sleeves and gowns shifted. Colors and trims evolved. Clothing was both practical and expressive. People cared what they looked like. The past was not a faded photograph. It was full of color. Myth number 6. Armor turned knights into statues. Museum mannequins do not move. That makes armor look heavy and stiff. But armor was a system of articulated plates. Joints at elbows, knees, hips, and shoulders were designed to move. Weight was distributed across the body. A padded garment called a gambeson sat under the metal. It absorbed shock and reduced friction. The total weight of a full suit was similar to what a modern soldier carries in gear. The difference is how the load was spread. Reenactment and research tests show people can run, climb stairs, vault low walls, and mount a horse while wearing accurate armor. Training matters. Fitness matters. With both, mobility was real. Armor protected. It did not paralyze.
Myth number 7. Castles were comfortable luxury homes.
This is the fairy tale image. Towers, halls, banquets every night. The main purpose of a castle was military defense and control. Thick walls, narrow windows, cold stone rooms. Heating was difficult. Kitchens could be smoky. Light was limited.
Many knights and landholders lived most of the time on manors instead.
A manor house was warmer. It was closer to fields and gardens. It was built for daily life.
A castle signaled power and offered safety in danger. It was not designed primarily for comfort. The difference matters. It reminds us that medieval life balanced security with practicality. It was not a royal fantasy. So what do these 7 myths tell us?
They show how a simple story can survive for centuries. A simple story is catchy. It fits in a line of dialogue.
But the real past is richer. People washed in the ways they could. Scholars taught around Earth. Towns wrote things down. Food was planned for seasons. Clothing carried color and meaning.
Armor moved because it had to. Castles were about defense first.
The Middle Ages were not modern. They were also not empty. They built cathedrals that still stand. They organized markets and guilds. They copied, read, and debated ideas. They managed forests and rivers. They raised families. They made tools. They solved problems with the materials they had. When we look at the record, the label Dark Ages fades. We see people making choices under pressure. We see communities planning for winter. We see craft and study and faith and habit all working together. History is not a pile of myths. History is a practice. We test claims. We compare sources. We look for patterns. When we do that, the past becomes less strange. It becomes human again.
So the next time someone says the Middle Ages were only dirt and ignorance, you can offer a different view.
You can say there were bathhouses and basins.
You can say there were ledgers and lectures.
You can say there was bread, broth, pork, fish, and a handful of berries in summer.
You can say there were red dyes and blue dyes, and careful stitches at the edge of a sleeve.
You can say armor was a machine for movement. You can say castles were strong because the world could be dangerous.
You can say life was not easy, but it was not empty.
Let's keep asking better questions. The past deserves it, and so do we.